of the Swedish Cup. England's Heather Corrie, 18 years of age, first in the Mid-America Slalom Series and a silver medalist in the European Junior Championships. From Wales, Peter Francis, 16 years of age, the Welsh Junior Champion, ranked top under 17-year-old in Great Britain. From Sweden, Ulrika Åberg, 15 years of age, the Swedish Junior Champion and ranked second in the seniors. 18-year-old Lynn Simpson from Humberside, a gold medalist in the Junior Pre-World Individual and Team events. Leicester's Matt Stevens, 17 years of age, a member of the Great Britain Junior team since 1985, silver medalist in the Junior Pre-World Team event. Waiting to launch this new series of Norwich Union paddles up, the 16-year-old from Sweden, Per Andersson, who is catapulted in and making his way to the first pole, and John Gosling, an exciting lot of new innovations this year, I think.
Yeah, he's approaching now the bell where he has to put the back end down, have an attempt. He's missed it now, and he goes on down to the zigzags where he's got to force his way across this stream. So 5 penalty points already, but he's going across the zigzags well. We're delighted to be joined this year by Richard Fox. Richard, how do you rate this young man?
Well, he's had a bit of a problem already, missing the bell. He lost a bit of time there on the zigzags, but I think this hoop is really going to test him. It's new for all the competitors, of course, and we'll just see how he gets on here.
Well, there's the world champion view, and he's done very well indeed. But oh, he's gone over. No, he's righted himself well. But that's an extremely difficult exercise, which he's managed well, John Gosling.
He certainly has. He comes down now to the slack water, the eddy, where he has to pass his paddle through. Oh, and he's thrown it through and lost it. But as Richard said, that hoop area is really dodgy now, and he flicks his paddles round now, shoots across to this target. He's coming across the stopper wave there, turns back on himself, hits the target and goes over and rolls. He's in trouble now, Chris.
Well, we'll see what he does. He's being carried, meanwhile, past the finishing post, and it's all very, very difficult. He'll have to go back because he will lose 50 points if he doesn't come through the proper way through the finish. So a bumpy run for Per Andersson. He finishes in a time of 1 minute 15 with 5 penalty points. Next on the ramp, Heather Corrie, and she's off and in, the defending ladies junior champion last year, and a young lady of immense promise, John.
Certainly is. She's now powering across. She's made a slight mistake as she came down off the seesaw start there, Chris, but comes over to the bell, and this is proving to be really difficult, isn't it, Richard?
It is. Her timing was right. She didn't quite get the boat up high enough out of the water. It's a strength move, but timing is probably more important than strength, and timing here is also the crucial factor. She's lost a little bit of time there, and away she comes.
Well, that's the time on the left that she's got to beat, but she seems remarkably calm, and she's coming up, and very carefully she takes the hoop off, but she's lost control of it.
Yeah, she went to put it through into her mouth and put it in her mouth, and then she went to paddle. She bounced out because she hit it with her hand. She's obviously thought about that, but she's taken it up. Oh, and now she's just collected a 5 there because she hasn't put it on the second area.
Coming across to her old friend. She's seen this before. It's her third paddles up the rubber tar, which she's managed all right, but she must be very discouraged now, I should think. She's lost time and penalty points.
Yeah, driving back now up towards this target area. See if she has the same sort of problem. She's in the stopper there, and oh, she's missed it, and she's good recovery there, looking pretty tired now, Chris, as she comes to the finish.
So she comes through the finish, and that's her time, not all that far off. 1 minute 21.38, but she's got 15 penalty points. It's now the turn of Peter Francis, this 16-year-old, his third year in the sport, and what remarkable progress this young man has been making from the famous Stafford and Stone club, and a man of real promise, I think, John.
Yeah, he represented us at the Junior Pre-Worlds this year in Switzerland, and he's having trouble there, but and I thought he'd make that. He was very confident before the competition that he could do that. He's now powering across. He's making quite light work of this. Oh, and I think he clipped one there, I'm not certain, but moves on down now. No, it seems to be clear, Chris, as he approaches this ring, and let's see if he has the same sort of problem the other's been having.
Well, he's lost the 5 penalties on the bell. He's managed to get the ring, but now it's a question of controlling it, and he's down very well indeed with the ring in his mouth. Well, this is novel. He's probably trying to hook himself up as well, but no, he's done that extremely well indeed, Richard Fox.
We've seen everything there, haven't we? But he did there a reverse ferry glide to get across to the second part of the hoop, and now he's done the tire differently to the others as well.
So he's coming across now to the target, and there's a tremendous amount of power and determination required. He clattered that all right, and he's now got to come through, and that's a good finish for this young man, Peter Francis. Finishes in 1:08.24 and 10 penalty points. From Sweden, 15-year-old Ulrika Åberg, waiting rather apprehensively on the launching pad.
Yeah, she come down now. She losing away a bit coming down that sort of seesaw slide, but now she's moving. She'll be a lot happier in herself as she comes towards the bell, the pirouette gate. She's got to put the back end of the boat down, but she's losing away there, Richard.
Yes, you have to remember here that she's quite light and the boat's sitting high out of the water, and she didn't really manage to get the back end under at all. It's a difficult move for a light paddler.
Well, the bell has confounded quite a few up to now, so she's in good company there, and she's certainly done the zigzag gates extremely well.
She's improved a tremendous amount from last year. She looks much more confident, even though she's moving, you know, relatively cautiously down the course.
Oh, good God, I thought that was going to pull her in there. She seems to have had real problems trying to get that hoop off. And now she's picked up the penalties, Chris, so she's going to move on down to the ring.
She's picked up 10 penalty points for failing to pick off the hoop and put it on the other side. And she's now decided to throw her paddle through our old friend the tower, so real difficulties for her here.
Yeah, she's a small girl, as Richard was saying, and that's a high tire there, so she's done that now. She's got to drive up into this stopper wave. The wave turns back on itself now and comes across towards the target.
See what she can do with this. Well, she's missed the target as well, so there's nothing else for her but to try and turn the boat, head for the finish as quickly as she possibly can. She finishes in a time of 1:17.62 and a total of 20 penalty points. Yet another outstanding young prospect, Lynn Simpson, began as an 8-year-old, the national number one now at the junior level.
Yeah, not only that, but she's now in our full senior squad for the Olympic squad for this winter, and she's going tremendously well here. She'll be trying really hard to beat the boys. Oh, and you heard her groan there as she missed that ballast. She forces her way across. She's had a tremendous season, and she's really out to try and beat the guys in this paddles up competition.
Well, if she doesn't do it, it's not going to be for want of determination and trying, because you can see the look on her face. She is really out to do a good time here. Disappointment certainly at the bell, but she's not alone in that, and she's done very well unhooking the ring, slightly losing control of that and herself, but still she's a very strong paddler, Richard.
Lynn is very, very strong, very powerful, and as you can see, a tremendous difference there between her and Ulrika in the way she's attacking the course, and I think we'll see it in the time at the end.
Yeah, oh, she's having trouble now. She's just trapped it there, but she's coming up now to the target. Very impressive time here, Chris.
Very good indeed. She's coming up to the target. She manages that, lost a little bit of control, but she's righted again, and she's making her way very determinedly for the finish, and that's a good time. 1:06.29 and 5 penalty points. Young Matthew Stevens is the next away member of the Great Britain junior teams, really since 1985, and a silver medalist in the junior pre-world event.
Yeah, we're seeing these last two paddlers here going really quite fast indeed. Oh, and Matty's missed the bell. He's shaking his head, most upset there, Richard.
Yes, he went directly at the bell, and I think the back of his boat hit the bottom of the river, which was why he just missed it. That was disappointing for Matt.
Moves down now to this ring. He's moving his boat. He's really powering now, and he's slowed up, which was what Richard was saying earlier, Chris, about them having to go a bit slower as they go towards it now. Drives across this fast-flowing water. Oh, and he's got it stuck on his head, but he's done it there very nicely indeed. Almost takes out the cameraman.
Well, he's no stranger to adventure. I notice he lists as one of his hobbies mountain biking, so he's certainly been around, and he did that, lost control of that, and that's perhaps not the wisest manoeuvre at this stage, but he's now got just the target to hit on his way to the finish. He does that, and righting himself and preparing himself straight on for the finish, coming down a strong finish, and he finishes in 1:04.19, a total of 5 penalty points, so he goes into the lead. So the positions at the halfway stage. The leader is Great Britain's Matt Stevens in a time of 1:09.19. Lynn Simpson from Great Britain is second, 1:11.29. Peter Francis, 1:18.24. Par Anderson, 1:20. Heather Corrie, 1:36.38. And Ulrika Åberg from Sweden, 1:37.62. Well, from the evidence of that, some very exciting young prospects, and I've been joined by Richard Fox, the reigning world champion, Really, there's some very entertaining youngsters coming through, aren't there?
Yes, we saw Matt Stevens there leading the field at this halfway stage. He's very promising. He's made the Olympic possible squad, so I think he'll be looking forward to the 92 games. Lynn Simpson, she really attacked that first half of the course, so I think she'll be very pleased to be so close to Matt and ahead of some of the other guys.
And anyone else impress you?
I think Peter Francis has got a lot of potential. He didn't really show it there. And Heather Corrie, she had a disappointing run, but you know, she's moved to Nottingham now to train at the National Water Sports Centre and study there. So I think she's got a good future ahead of her.
Are you happy about the future of the sport?
Yes, we've got a lot of young paddlers who are training hard, and you know, hopefully some of us are setting a good example for them to follow. And they had a very successful season in junior championships in Switzerland, and I think we can win some medals at the Junior Worlds next year.
Now, looking ahead to the Paddles Up final, do you think that Matt Stevens has a realistic chance of competing against the men?
Yes, he's got a good chance there, but obviously he's going to be up against perhaps the likes of Ian Raspin if he gets through, and some of the others. It's not going to be easy for him, but I would expect him perhaps to come about halfway through the field, which will be very respectable.
Richard, thank you very much. Let's now get into the second half of the junior heat. Waiting to start her second run, Ulrika Åberg from Sweden. The slowest time after the first run, and a tremendous amount to do, and a very testing course ahead of her.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. There's 2 limbo gates, there's targets, there's poles, there's a roll gate on the second half. Starting fairly high, so it gives them a bit of confidence, and then straight into the really moving water now. The high target there. Oh, she missed it completely now as she goes down to the double target on the opposite side of the river, Chris.
Richard Fox, this is really going to test all their whitewater skills, isn't it?
Yes, this rapid is very powerful and unpredictable, and as you can see, Ulrika's having a bit of a problem controlling her boat in the fast water and making the target. She's lost a lot of time there, and I think she's just getting herself into a bit more trouble here in the Boilie eddy. Very difficult water.
And a tremendous amount of strength required here for Ulrika. 15 years of age, remember.
Yeah, she's up now, turns out of the eddy, which is the slack water, and now she comes down to the stopper wave there that turns back on itself, and a brand new target here. Oh, she's over, Chris. She's got a roll early here.
She took a nasty tumble against that rock, but she's recovered very well indeed, and courageously she's going on and manages to get enough strength to get the ball up to hit the target. Well done.
Yeah, she's hit the target now. She's coming down now to what she's already just on a roll. She's coming down to the roll gate where she's got to do the Eskimo roll under the gate. If she hits the gate, she picks up penalties, and here she comes.
Well, we'll see. We've got a marvellous view from our intrepid underwater cameraman, rusting at the knees, and she did that beautifully. So she's now got to come across to these next gates.
I think Ulrika must be pretty tired now. She's had 2 rolls, and she's been going for a couple of minutes, and you know, it's really taken a lot out of her.
But she's still going, and that's a very, very brave run by Ulrika. She's a traditional finish, trying to get the paddle up and over the finish. She didn't have the strength. She finishes in a time of 3 minutes 18.05 and 20 penalty points. Next away, Nottingham's Heather Corrie, who's had such a magnificent season, but judged on what we've seen from Ulrika Åberg, she faces a pretty stiff task.
Yeah, she's looking very determined though, and remember she won the junior event last year, and she's really determined to keep that going. But she's coming down now. She does the 2 limbos and comes to the target. Oh, hits the target, so she's well in there, having to back very glide across, but towards the other 2 targets, and gets both of those. Bit of a problem and spun, but she's doing very well at the moment, Chris.
Started very nicely indeed, but now I suppose, Richard, the strength aspect comes into play, doesn't it?
That's right. This is a difficult section. She has to punch through this stopper wave and keep the boat moving towards the ball. Let's see how she does, and she's coming through there. She's lost a little bit of time, but she's doing a lot better than she did in the first half, so I think she'll feel quite encouraged at this stage.
Yeah, she's there now. She's just got to hit that. Oh, she seems to have missed it, but certainly made no doubt about it there, Chris, hitting that ball against that target. New one for this year, but moving on down now to the roll gate. Looks a bit apprehensive, but she'll keep moving all the way down this course.
Let's see her under the water, safe and sound. Is she going to come up again? Well, she's rattled that, and she's come up all right, but she's lost 5 points there, and lost a little bit of time as she rights the boat for the last 2 obstacles.
That roll gate really takes the energy out of the paddle. As you can see, that she's struggling a little bit there as she comes to the finish.
Up and over, if she's got the strength, she has, but that's the time, 2 minutes 57.63 and 5 penalty points. So the second of the Swedish competitors in this junior heat, it's Per Andersson, age 16, the reigning Finnish champion.
Yeah, he's not out of the running at all. He's very strong, very powerful young lad, and comes down. He'll have no trouble on these, and if he plays his cards right and thinks about, oh, and he hit the limbo, the kiss of death again there, Chris.
And he missed the target.
Yeah, he's stuck. Oh, he's having real trouble there now, powering his way upstream. He's got to keep going. I mean, that's the 2 targets done. He's now moving across this really very, very fast flowing water. Over there now, controls the boat, moves up, and he's got to punch out back into the driving water there and down towards the next target.
I think, Richard, we see the strength of that water, though. It's carrying them far below the pole, isn't it?
That's right. You can see when we looked at the eddy there, it's really boiling around, very unpredictable, hard to keep the boat moving, but that, of course, is the essential thing to try and do in slalom. Always keep the boat moving.
See that ball target, this new one for this year, is really causing them some trouble. He's moving down now, though, to the roll gate. He'll try and put on a bit of speed. He's got to beat the time of Heather Curry, as you see there. Oh, he clips the roll gate, so he's picked up more penalties. He's over, but he's got the time of 3:02 to beat, so he's not doing too bad as he comes into where he has to do this spin turn before the last gate and then the paddles up.
But he's coming a little bit stuck here and wasting the seconds as they're ticking away, but he's now just got to get the paddle up and over, which he does, and finishes in a time of 2 minutes 41.98 and 15 penalty points. Just 3 years in the sport, Peter Francis now starts off on this second run.
Yeah, Peter now very determined. He wants to pull back the time he was down after the first half, but just powering down now. He's got to make sure he can clear the course. That's going to be the biggest problem, and he gets the first target. He's got to go clear if he wants to be up there with Matty Stevens and Dee Lynn. And yeah, no, he's trying to destroy it there. He did it first time, I didn't realise. But coming across, it looks very impressive here, Richard.
As you say that, he's got into trouble there and he's losing a lot of time. I think what you said earlier on about having to go clean is right. He's got 9 seconds to make up on Matt Stevens, but I think he's thrown it all away here.
Oh, what desperate trouble. He came down too low. He's tried to get back and he was almost beached, and he's still being carried. Look at the power of that.
Yeah, the speed he came across there. The only worrying fact is that we've seen it before, that you think someone's blown it and he might not have done. He's going down now. He'll put the power on, does that beautifully there. Comes down towards this ball, and he's got to keep his boat moving if he can. He's slowed up a bit, does that easily now, and he'll really burn on, and he needs to clear the roll gate in these last 2 gates if he's in with any sort of chance.
Well, let's see what he does. He's coming now down to the roll gate. Our underwater camera picks him up beautifully. He did that well, shakes the water out of his ears, tries to find whereabouts where he is on the course, because I think he thought he was near the finish there. He's still got another couple of obstacles to pass through, which he has managed, and now making his way to the finish, but a disappointing finish for him. 2 minutes 44.41 and no penalty points. Lynn Simpson from the Hull and District Canoe Club, who had such a remarkable first run, and certainly the time set is very well within her range.
Yeah, she's coming down. She needs a clear run, but she needs to get... Oh, and she hits the first limbo, kiss of death, but she needs to keep the boat moving at all times. Comes down, hits the target though, so she's okay there now. She comes down, heading for these other 2 targets, a bit below, but she just needs to keep the power on, Richard, yes?
She does. She's a very determined paddler. You can see she really attacks the course, which is great. It's so important. Missed the gate completely, and you can just see how powerful and turbulent that water is. It's so difficult to predict, and she's lost everything.
Yes, once she went beyond it, she realised there was absolutely no chance of her getting back. So strong is that water there.
Yeah, she's coming down now towards the roll gate, but she's blown, I think, her chances as such. But she's got to keep the boat moving all the time and see what she can do now. She's back ferry gliding towards the last 2 gates, and she has to do the 360-degree turn on the approach.
This is where the strength begins to tell, because she's tiring very quickly indeed. She's coming up to the finish. Has she got enough strength to get up and over? She does. She finishes in 2 minutes 23.03 and a total of 55 penalty points. So it's all for the taking, is it, for Matt Stevens? He has a run ahead of him. He just needs to keep clear. He just needs to keep going fast, but that's easier said than done, John.
Certainly is. He's made that first limbo look no problem at all, and comes to the second. He's got to try and keep it clear. He's got a lot of time in hand, and we've seen in past series of paddles up where paddlers take it too easy and make mistakes, but he seems to be going very well indeed, keeping the boat moving and very high into that breakout there, Richard.
That's right. He's not playing this safe at all. He's really attacking the course, and that's good to see. I think it's a very risky game to try and be being too cautious, and he's having a good run here.
Missed the target, but he's got this second target to get to, and he managed that all right. And this is very, very sound paddling. And as you say, John, all he's got to do is just to make absolutely sure that he makes no mistakes now, because he's got time in hand.
Yeah, we saw the rescue boats there. I don't think Matty needs his rescue boats as he came down. In fact, he had a big smirk on his face when he threw the ball up at the target, thinking, I've got it clean. He's got to keep it clean now, coming down towards the end. His real slalom skills coming on these last few gates now, keeping it cool. But it looks like he's going to do it, but he needs to keep moving.
Well, he is. He's just got to get the paddle up, which he does, and he finishes in a time of 2 minutes 16.44, 5 penalty points, and he's the winner of the junior heat and into the grand final. So here are the final placings in the junior heat. The winner, Matt Stevens from Great Britain, in a time of 2 minutes 21.44. Second, Peter Francis, 2 minutes 44.41. Per Andersson of Sweden, 2 minutes 56.98. Heather Corrie of Great Britain, 3 minutes 02.63. Lynn Simpson, 3 minutes 18.03. And Ulrika Åberg from Sweden, 3 minutes 38.05. So from what we've seen, the future of the sport in a very healthy state indeed. The Paddles Up Junior champion, Matt Stevens, who receives his award now from Mr. Gary Towers, Field Operations Manager of Norwich Union. So the Junior Paddles Up champion, Matt Stevens, surely a name to look out for in the future. And he now goes through to compete in the grand final. We'll be back with Heat 1 of the men's event. But for the moment, from the D, goodbye.
And you can see tomorrow's Paddles Up at the earlier time of 11:35.
North Wales. Paddles Up.
Welcome back to the River Dee here at Llangollen. In our first programme, you may remember, the winner of the junior heat was 17-year-old Matt Stevens, and he now makes his way to compete against the best of the seniors in the grand final. And in this second programme, the first heat in the men's event, we do have the very best, and John Gosling, the prospect of the Russians coming.
That's right, yeah. With the inclusion of slalom canoeing in the 1992 Barcelona Olympics, there's many new nations coming into slalom canoeing, not least the Russians, and it's really quite an exciting time for us.
It's also a very busy time, isn't it?
Very busy indeed. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes for the British slalom teams, as I'm sure there is around the world. And we're all working very hard with one aim in mind.
For you personally, as manager of the British team?
Yeah, it's putting a lot of pressure on at the moment, but it's worth it. It really is worth it.
Well, we've also been joined on the commentary team this year by Richard Fox, the reigning world champion and reigning Paddles Up champion. The first question for you, though, Richard, is why are you not competing?
Well, Chris, Miriam and I are off to India shortly to do an expedition, and we've just had some jabs for typhoid, cholera, everything you can imagine. So my arm's a bit stiff, and I'll be enjoying the action from the bank.
Sounds to me as if you're getting a little bit lazy in your old age, but as you are going to relax on the bank, we're going to get you to do some work. Would you like to pick out some of the prospects for this Paddles Up?
Well, I think we've got a very good field, as usual here, a nice colourful international field. Some of the best paddlers to point out would be in the C1 category. Remember, that's where the paddler's kneeling in the boat, using a single paddle. Thierry Humeau from France, bronze medalist at the World Championship. Andy Kubler from West Germany, both very, very good. And of course we've got Gareth Marriott, our own C1 paddler, who's leading the way for us. In the kayak event, Laurent Brissot from France is, I think, going to be quite an exciting paddler to watch. Ian Wiley from Ireland, 5th in the World Cup this year, very good paddler. But watch out for Ian Raspin. I think he's going to give them a good run for their money. He told me that he's looking to win this competition. I think he really wanted me to take part because he said to me earlier on he was going to beat me. And then, of course, in the ladies, we've got Lisa Michela and Miriam Jerusalmi from France and Germany to bring a bit of colour in there.
But it's for you, it's Ian Raspin, the man to take your title.
Well, I think, yes, he's going to be hard to beat.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much, John. Well, it's the first of the men's heats now, so let's go up to the start and get a rundown on the paddlers. County Durham's Russ Smith, former British champion, former world team champion and runner-up in 1988 in Paddles Up. Gareth Marriott, the 19-year-old from Nottingham Kayak Club, ranked third in Great Britain, a former world junior champion. Andy Kubler from West Germany, a student of architecture and 5 times the national champion. Jimmy Jays from Llangollen, the former British champion and his 5th Paddles Up. The Frenchman Thierry Humeau, the French champion and 3rd in the World Championships. Waiting to start Heat 1 of the men's senior event, Russ Smith, former British champion. He's been paddling for 20 years and, John, an immensely powerful competitor.
Yeah, he looks very determined as he comes across this bell now to turn and hit it and get on down to the zigzags. But he's always having trouble there, Chris, as he makes a mistake and heads on down. He won't be happy there.
We're joined once again by the reigning world champion, Richard Fox. How do you rate his strengths?
Well, I think Russ is really going to have to work very hard now to make up for that 5-second penalty. This course is going to be done in under a minute, I think, for the best competitor, and he's got a big job on.
Oh, he's made a mistake there as well. He hesitated as he was taking it. Very fortunate to get a second. Oh my God, he had to go for a 3rd bite of the cherry there, Chris, as he comes down, working his way across this water, having all sorts of problems. Remember, the paddlers aren't allowed to try the course out beforehand, and he's very lucky there now. Moves on down to the tie, but struggling with this course.
I think it shows the degree of difficulty of this particular course. He's certainly coming up to a familiar obstacle here, the tire, but he decides to part company with his paddle. I'm just wondering about the wisdom of that tactic, because he's certainly wasting a little bit of time as he comes across to the final obstacle, and he hits the target, but he's still wasting vital fractions of seconds righting himself for the finish. He's coming through now in a disappointing time of 1 minute 12.29 and 5 penalty points. Olympic squad member Gareth Marriott from the Nottingham Kayak Club. And Richard Fox, tell us about the difference in technique here.
Well, Gareth, of course, is kneeling in this boat. This is a C1, and he's using a single-bladed paddle, which gives him some advantage in a move like the pivot on the bell. He's got tremendous leverage there, and I think on a short course like this, really, Gareth and Thierry Humeau could beat the kayaks.
Time, gentlemen, please. He got the bell without any trouble at all and is now making his way to the hoop, and this will test him.
Yeah, he's coming down now. He's got to take this off, and you see he's got the advantage where he doesn't have the paddle to hinder him as a kayak paddler does. He's coming down now very slowly indeed, and Gareth there hits the bank, but he won't mind now. He drives across the moving water again towards passing his paddle through this tie, which shouldn't take any effort at all for a C1. There we go. Oh, and very craftily indeed. He's thought about that, obviously.
This is a very fine run indeed. The former world junior champion, and no penalties at the moment. He's managed to hit the target. He's on course in every manner of the word, and he's going well for the finish. Finishes in a time of 1 minute 0.71 and no penalty points. 5 times a German champion, Andy Kubler, 25 years of age, and once again, Richard Fox, another change in style.
Yes, Andy's paddling on the right-hand side here, whereas Gareth, who we've just seen, was paddling on the left, which is why Andy's coming here and turning in the opposite direction to try and hit the bell. But again, he's made that look very easy. Yeah,
these C1 paddlers, when they come down this course, Chris, they can make moves look so simple, and these boys are really moving now, and coming round. He'll be out to beat the kayaks, and he'll be out to beat his time of Gareth Marriott's just over a minute. I mean, it's tremendous running time, and now he comes down to the ring again. Very simple for him, but he's driving across, coming across that fast-flowing water. He's always having to work hard here, and he's missed it.
No, he hasn't. He's got it the second time, and very cleverly indeed. And this is a tremendous run for someone who's not accustomed to all these tricks of the trade, and he's doing that very well indeed. Who knows, this could be the C1's year.
I think he's going to challenge Gareth's time here. He's getting very close to it. You have to remember, of course, that there is no straight line sprint on this, so it favours the C1.
Well, a little bit of a hiccup there, but he's still got a bit of time in hand. Oh, very good time. He hasn't beaten that time on the left. 1 minute 02.38 and no penalty points. Back to the K1s with another familiar face, Jimmy Jays, in his 5th Paddles Up, a canoe coach here at Llangollen.
Well, Jimmy's really got the reputation of the kayaks on his shoulders here, because Russ had a disappointing run, and he's the only guy now who can get ahead of the C1s, and he's done that so well. That was excellent.
Yeah, he's moving now really well, and JJ is out to try and produce a result here that will keep his name up in lights, as it were, within the canoeing world. Coming down now, he'll be working hard. This is his home water, and he's the Welsh champion at the moment, so he's out to try and do what he can. He's coming across now. He's got to deposit the hoop. This is an important move, because if he gets this run, very slow there. Technical move now, driving down, and he should be fast on this tyre. And this move on this wave, this target, Chris, we should see something special from Jimmy, because this is his bit of water.
Well, he's taking his responsibilities as a K1 canoeist very seriously indeed, and he's going extremely well. As he comes across to the target, hits that without any trouble, and makes his way now to the finish. This is a marvellous time, 57.58 seconds, and no penalty points. He takes the lead. Next away, the reigning French champion, Thierry Humeau, went in with a bit of a bump there, and another C1 competitor, Richard Fox.
That's right. It's worth pointing out that these C1 paddlers really strap themselves in tightly so that they've got good balance and control in the boat.
Yeah, this helps them do things like that, Chris. They're able to manoeuvre the boats much tighter and better than a kayak paddler, but he's moving on very nicely now indeed. He's going through the zigzags without too much effort. In fact, these three C1s in this heat have really proved that C1s can do the business.
That time on the left is the time to beat, set by Jimmy Jays, and this next manoeuvre is going to be critical. He did that well.
Yeah, coming down now, he's got to work his way across this really fast-flowing water, making it look a bit hard, but steadying up nicely there to lose the hoop and move down to the tyre.
You notice that he's paddling on both sides, on his on side, which is left side, and on the right-hand side, where he brings the paddle across his boat. That's what we call a cross-bow stroke.
This man out of the very top drawer, third in the World Championships. Let's see how well he can finish. Spending a little bit of time here, managed to get the target, but this finish is going to be crucial. He's not going to beat that Jimmy Jay's time. He finishes in 1:04.88 and no penalty points. So at the halfway stage, the leader is Jimmy Jays of Great Britain in a time of 57.58 seconds. Gareth Marriott from Britain, 1 minute 0.71. Andy Kubler from West Germany, 1:02.38. Thierry Humeau from France, 1:04.88. And Russ Smith from Great Britain, 1:17.29.
Well, Richard, quite remarkably, all clear except for that one penalty, surprisingly, by Russ Smith.
Yes, I wouldn't say that's because the course is that easy. I think really everybody attacked it. They paddled very well. It's the first part of the heat. There was some good performances there, but of course the bell is always quite unpredictable. I should know. I usually miss the ball or the bell or whatever it is. I don't think Russell let that set him back too much. Remember last year he had a very good recovery in the final after a disappointing first half, so there's a lot yet to come.
A lot of excitement to come, isn't there?
There is, and I think the second half's going to be a lot tougher, and of course those that go through to the final will find that getting a clear run in the final is extremely difficult.
Well, we're about to find out just how difficult. Let's go now for the start of the second half.
Russ Smith, this immensely seasoned and experienced paddler, waiting to start the second run of the first heat, and he'll be certainly very disappointed with his first, so he's got a lot of time to make up.
Yeah, he has got a lot of time, but Smith, if he keeps himself cool, calm and collective and comes down this course, he needs to keep it clean. He needs to think, oh, and he immediately misses it. I don't think he thought about that enough. I'm not sure, but he comes across now to the other two targets, and he's hit both of them, and he's head-butted them and everything.
I think he gets extra points for that with the head. He did it 4 times, but he's done that manoeuvre very well indeed.
That was very quick round the upstream gate. He got in nice and tightly behind it, and let's just see if he can keep this run going. He's going very fast, even though he has picked up that penalty point.
Yeah, hits that no problem at all. That new target for this year. The ball has to hit the target for him to clear it, and now he's down to the roll gate. Remember, he's got to do this Eskimo roll here. There he is over, very slow really, and he's up really disorientated, freezing cold conditions, and now moves down to the last 2 gates here, where he's got 2 gates and pirouetting between them.
Yes, he may well have blown it now with the penalties he incurred earlier on, and that roll gate wasn't the fastest, but he's up to the finish, no problem with the finish. He finishes in a time of 2 minutes 22.80 and 5 penalty points. the French champion Thierry Humeau, and the first of the C1 paddlers, John, so it'll be interesting to see how he manages to cope with this course.
Yeah, it's been very interesting that the three C1s have split the two kayaks in this heat, but Terry, very experienced paddler, and he's coming down now under the two limbos. It'll be interesting to see how the C1 can cope with this high target, but makes no problems at all. And Terry's very, very experienced, bronze medalist at the World Championships, and in there for the first time for a long time.
You see, he lost a lot of time there. He came at the target too fast, and he didn't have that blade on the right-hand side that a kayak paddler would have to help him get across the river.
But there are certain manoeuvres, Richard, that seem very much easier in the C1, and that's one of them.
That's one of them, an upstream gate. He can turn the boat very quickly, and I think you'll see here he can punch over the top of the stopper and make the boat plane without really getting wet at all.
Yeah, coming down now. This new obstacle, the ball on the end there, Terry made no problem at all now. He moves down. Very confident paddler, talking to him between the runs, and very confident indeed.
Let's see now how he manages to cope with this roll. He's come up very close to the gate, but he seemed to get away with it.
I think so. He was a bit slower than I think he should have been. Normally a C1 paddler can roll very quickly, but of course he was hesitant going in, and he lost a bit of time as a result.
Can't afford to waste any more time now in the closing manoeuvres. He's done that well, up and over, and he finishes in a time of 2 minutes 18.06 and no penalty points. The second of the C1 paddlers, Andy Kubler from West Germany. I wonder, John, if this is going to be the year when the C1s come into their own.
Well, certainly. I mean, we're going to have a C1 in the final because Russ has been beaten by one already, so it's great. I mean, he's coming down. Oh, he's having trouble there. He's all sorts of problems there. He's missed that target completely now and moves over to the other two. He's going to be furious with himself. Look at him hit those targets.
Certainly took it out on the targets.
He didn't only miss the target, he missed the second limbo as well, I think, and he's losing a bit more time here as he comes low into the eddy, and I think really he needs to attack the bottom half of the course if he's got any chance at all.
Yeah, he's driving down now. You see the way these C1s really make their boats move. It's come on so much, this event, over the last few years, and no more so because of these three we've seen in this heat. They've really helped C1 paddling across the world develop.
But it does show the importance, Richard, of getting off to a good start, because he's struggling now, and I think he clipped that as well.
Yeah, that's another penalty. Really, he had a deficit of about 4 or 5 seconds on Jimmy J's, and with those penalties, I think he's thrown away all his chances.
Well, he's trying to make up ground now, but too late, I think. He finishes 2 minutes 10.31 and a total of 10 penalty points. The third of the C1 paddlers, the hugely talented 19-year-old Gareth Marriott, ranked 7 in the world and the world junior champion in 1988. But what I wonder is in store from now.
Yeah, he needs a good run here. He's looking a bit nervous, but looking very cool on the water. He's under the two limbos. Can he get this target? It's going to be a crucial thing. Tremendous there. He moves down. He really needs to be clear, doesn't he, Richard?
Yes, he does, and he's doing very well. He's ahead of Humeau so far because he didn't lose time getting across to the second target. I think what Gareth really wants to do here is win this heat, because a C1 paddler beating the kayaks is like an Indian taking a few scalps.
Well, he's certainly taken a few scalps in the opening part of this course, because I think that's the most impressive run we've seen so far.
Yeah, he's no problem there with the target. He's moving down to the roll gate. Mistakes can be made on this roll gate. He's just got to keep the boat moving and keep flowing.
Done that beautifully, so he's on course. A little bit disorientated there, getting right now, but wasted a fraction of a second there. Now this is the crucial final stage.
Yeah, he needs to keep clear here, get the boat round fast. The C1's are tremendous there as he's heading for the finish line, Chris.
And this is going to take some beating this time. 2 minutes 03.71 and no penalty points. So now that very impressive time set by Gareth Marriott, and this is the only man that can beat it, Jimmy Jays, who had such a marvellous first run.
Yeah, he's coming down now. JJ really wants to win this. He's looking quite apprehensive actually as he comes down. He seems to be going a bit slow and done the two limbos, and I'm not sure about that target there, but he's moving across the other two. And what do you think, Richard?
Well, I think he's losing a bit of time there, but Jim should be quicker than Gareth in total, but it depends whether he's got that penalty, and I think he has. He's really going to have to move now, or Gareth's going to win, and as far as kayaks go, that's a disaster.
Well, the word from up the course is that he missed the target, so that's 5 penalty points, and as you say, John, he's rather tentative in his approach so far. There he's lost control of the paddle. Yeah,
well, he's got to keep moving now, because Gareth's time up there, 2:03, I don't think he's going to beat, so he's got to keep going to get into the final. So it'd be amazing if we get 2 C1s in the final from this heat, and he's picked up another 5-second penalty there.
That was an interesting roll. You saw he went over backwards instead of forwards, as most of the kayak paddlers do, and that in fact was much quicker than the other paddlers have done the roll.
Yeah, he's got to beat 2:18.06 to get in the final, Chris. So it's going to be very close.
Well, how's he got the strength for it? He's up and over 2 minutes 04.17 and 10 penalty points, so he's done it. So the final positions of Heat 1. Gareth Marriott, the winner, Great Britain, 2 minutes 03.71, and he's joined in the final by Jimmy Jays, 2 minutes 14.17. Jerry Umo from France, 2 minutes 18.06. Andy Kubler from West Germany, 2 minutes 20.31. And Russ Smith, 2 minutes 27.80.
So the end of the first men's heat. And John Gosling, a slightly unexpected conclusion, wasn't it?
Yeah, but what a heat. So exciting, so many things happening, and the performance by the Canadian boats there, not just Gareth winning, but the others coming through so strong, really made it exciting for me anyway, because it was truly tremendous.
Well, the first ever C1 to win a heat. Are you aware that you've created your little bit of history, Gareth?
Yes, I did, Chris. It's I'm quite pleased about it. It's quite good.
Tell us a little bit about the techniques of C1 paddling.
Well, in the C1 we kneel in the boat and use a single-bladed paddle, and we just sort of paddle down one side of the boat, not from either side.
Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages on a course like this?
On a course like this, the boat is very manoeuvrable, which means that you can spin it very fast and get the nose in the air to hit the ball, and it makes for quite tight turns very quickly.
What's the downside to it all?
The downside is we're a long way out of the boat, and it makes life hard for getting under limbos and things like that.
The limbos, the obstacles that you least like, do you think?
Yeah, they are. They're quite tough.
Now, can this be C1's year? Are you going to win it?
I'm going to try. It could well be, you know, C1's year. It's possible with a course like this, tight turns, tricky obstacles, anything could happen.
Also with us, welcome Jimmy Jays, who came second in the heat and through to the final. Jimmy, is there quite a bit of rivalry between kayaks and C1s?
There is, very much so, especially at this event. Nothing's really said, but I think people know. I mean, it's slightly embarrassing for the kayaks there, me personally, but we can live with that. Gareth actually paddled brilliantly, you know, and he deserves what he got there.
We've heard from Gareth about the disadvantages and advantages of the C1s. Now, what about the kayaks on this course?
Our forward speed is a lot better. The pirouetting is not quite as good in the kayak. The overall stability is a lot better. Although there was one moment in that course actually going for one of the targets that my stability, I appeared, didn't look so good to me from where I was sitting.
We noticed that. That gave you a bit of trouble.
It did, yeah. Yeah, it isn't a matter of, you know, paddling up or stretching for it. I decided to stretch for it, you know.
This is one of the things, isn't it, the joys of paddles up. You've got to make decisions as you're going down.
There's no practice run, and you're really making it up as you go along. It's really instinctive more than anything. It's very hard to pre-plan anything. In fact, that can often be the downfall. If you pre-plan something there and it doesn't quite go right, you've got a problem.
Well now, can the kayaks make up the ground on the C1s?
Well, it remains to be seen, doesn't it? I hope so. I really do.
Gentlemen, thank you all very much indeed. And that brings us to the end of Heat 1 of the men's events. We'll be back next time with Heat 2. But from us all here on the River Dee, goodbye. It's Heat 2 of Paddles Up. Welcome back to the River Dee at Llangollen. Already through to the final are 3 paddlers. John Gosling, what can you tell us about them?
Well, winner of the junior heat, Matty Stevens, top junior paddler in Great Britain, won that heat very convincingly, and I think there's a lot more paddling in Matty. He could be really good in the final. Heat 1, tremendous heat. Gareth Marriott, paddling his C1, came through to win with clear runs on both halves of the course and really looked impressive. Second to him was Jimmy Jays, local lad, lives in Llangollen, trains on the water all the time. I think we'll see something from him from the final as well.
Well, Heat 2 promises to be every bit as competitive as Heat 1. So let's now go up to the start and get a rundown on the paddlers for this second heat.
Paul Simmons from Wellington in New Zealand, in the first division of paddlers and one of the leading canoeists in his country. 33-year-old Martin Hedges from Windsor, former Europa Cup champion and the British national champion 13 times. Ian Wiley from Dublin, ranked #1 in Ireland and ranked 5 in the world. Ian Raspin, former World Youth Champion, ranked second in Britain and in magnificent form, finishing second in the 12-nation international in Czechoslovakia. Melvin Jones, ranked third in Great Britain and a former World Team Champion. Laurent Brissot from France, the French champion, French team champion, and sixth in the world. Waiting to start Heat 2 of the men's senior event, Paul Simmons from Wellington in New Zealand went in with a tremendous thump, and once again I'm joined by Richard Fox and John Gosling.
Yeah, Paul coming across now to the bell. Experienced paddler, but might find one or two of these obstacles strange to him, and he's had trouble with the bell there. And this is the thing, when these paddlers haven't done a paddles up event before, they do find some little problems on the course, but he's going quite well, Richard.
Yes, remember, of course, he's had no practice. This is his first time down as well as his first competition, and we'll see how he gets on with his hoop. This is new for everybody, and it's quite tricky.
Yeah, takes it, double attempt there, but gets it off at the second attempt, and caught himself in the stopper wave there, the wave that turns back on it itself. So he's got across now, and he's just got to deposit it. And he's dropped the hoop there, Chris, so that's going to cost him another 5-second penalties. And he's not the first ever New Zealander we've had in paddles up, because Donald Johnson won it a few years ago, and that's why Paul's come over.
He probably is, though, the first to cut his boat in half to get it on the plane to come across here, so he's a man of great initiative. He's not going to be stopped by anything so mundane as a rubber tire. He's through that safely. Now, will he get the target? Well, he gave it an enormous swipe. I think he may well have hit fresh air. He's turning round now and making his way for the finish, so he's lost some valuable seconds there as he finishes in a time of 1 minute 12.25 and 15 penalty points. Next off, a 33-year-old Martin Hedges from the Windsor Canoe Club, and a man of immense experience, John Gosling.
Yeah, here he is driving across. He's in a C1, which is where he's kneeling in the boat and strapped in with straps, but Martin will be out to do some good paddling. And he's made a mistake there. He's missed the bell. He'll be furious, because we saw in Heat 1, the C1's made that look very simple indeed.
I think he came at that with a bit too much speed, and he started his turn too far downstream. Although he got the bow high enough, the bell was too close to his body, which was why he missed it.
Yeah, he's coming down now to the hoop, picks off the hoop, and we're seeing now the same in Heat 2 as we did in Heat 1. Very simple for these Canadian paddlers, paddling both sides of the boat as he's coming across, but takes the hoop, gets rid of it now, and he turns, driving back across this fast-flowing water down to the tyre, and he shouldn't have any trouble here, Chris, at all with passing his paddle through.
British national champion 13 times, so the experience is there, and so too is the determination. If that faces anything to go by, he manages the target and getting himself on course for the finish. Finishes in a time of 57.65 with 5 penalty points. Ranked 5th in the world, this young man from Dublin, Ian Wiley, age 21.
And he came down the slide then. As he just came down, he lifted it up on this seesaw, and he was facing completely the wrong way, but looking determined as he comes down to the bell. And doesn't make it. Picks up a 5-second penalty now over to the zigzags, and he's going to be working hard now, trying to keep the boat moving all the time. That's the art of the slalom paddle. You keep the boat moving all the time now, and he moves down to the ring to take it.
Yes, I think those two mistakes at the top, slow start and missing the bell, and again missing this hoop, is going to cost him dearly. He's decided to abandon the second hoop, and he's coming down to the tyre.
Well, that, of course, automatically qualifies him for a 10-second penalty. Not only does he get the 5 for failing to take the hoop off, but then loses 5 for putting it on the other side. So time wasted, and penalty points also for Ian Wiley. Not a good run for him. He manages to hit the target, but he finishes in a time of 54.50 and 15 penalty points. He began at the tender age of 2, Ian Raspin, surely at the top of his form. He's had a magnificent season.
Yeah, Ian now coming across, looking very, very determined as he comes down to the bell, trying to be, I would say, the first kayak to hit it, but and he got it on the second attempt. Crowd go wild there, just about hit it. Now he comes to the zigzags. It's quite windy, but he's moving very well indeed, Richard.
That was brilliant control for Ian to hit the bell there, really, because he hit the bottom of the river on the first turn, but he kept the bow in the air and brought it around. That was excellent.
Coming down now to the hoop, he's steadied up quite a lot now to take the hoop off. No problem at all for Ian there. Just takes it nice and steady, tries to pull the boat across, hooks the hoop on. Very impressive there from Raspin now as he moves down to this tyre. Keeping the boat moving, nice and steady run here.
Ranked number 2 in Britain at the tender age of 22, so he's got a lot still ahead of him, and he's hit the target, coming straight for the finish. This is a marvellous run by Ian Raspin and a superb finish, 55.30 and no penalty points. Well, if anybody can beat that thoroughly impressive time by Ian Raspin, it's this man, Melvin Jones.
Really in there with a smash, and Melvin off, determined to try and pick up this Paddles Up trophy. We have in the commentary box with us the current reigning Paddles Up champion as Melvin smashes that apart. So Melvin must be fancying his chances here, Richard.
Yes, I think he's being very cautious. He's got a very good tactic here. He's not taking too many risks, and I think he's going for a clean run here.
Yeah, he moves down now towards the ring. Very steady, as Richard just said. He's looked very cautious indeed. So did Raspin. Oh, and he's stuck on the rock. He's having all sorts of problems there. Probably being a bit too cautious as he went across. Comes to deposit the ring.
If you look carefully, you can see he's got a very different kind of paddle there. He's got a paddle shaft with a couple of kinks in. This is to give him a bit more power, a bit more leverage. There you can see as he puts it through the tyre, it's a very different kind of paddle shaft.
Well, I wonder if that trouble with the hoop has cost him dear. It certainly cost him a few seconds, because this is still a marvellous time, and he's not out of it by any means. He's finished in a very respectable time, 57.86 and no penalty points. The very best that France has to offer, Laurent Brissot, 23 years of age, and came in with a tremendous thump, but looking very good and very strong as he makes his way to the bell.
That's pretty uncomfortable to drop into the water like that. Really needs to get a bit of an edge down so that he takes the strain off his back.
So he's got a 5-second penalty off the bell and does a very crafty duck under there. You can see as you go around, we have rescue boats all around this course, Chris, in case there's any problems. But he comes down now, takes the hoop and goes across. He'll have spotted Jones have problems there and dropped down below where that rock was, where Jones seems to have the problem. Puts the hoop on and then moves across, taking it very cautiously indeed. They know they've got to beat Raspin's time, 55.3, as you see in the left-hand side. And Brissot coming down now very nicely indeed, but I don't think he's going to beat Raspin's time.
Excellent manoeuvre through the tyre and had a magnificent 1989, so very much in contention. He's not going to beat Raspin's time, but a very good time, 59.08 and 5 penalty points. The timings at the halfway stage. Ian Raspin from Great Britain is in the lead, 55.30 seconds. Melvin Jones, also from Britain, 57.86. Martin Hedges, 102.65. Laurent Brissot from France, 104.08. Ian Wiley from Ireland, 109.50. And Paul Simmons from New Zealand, 127.25.
So the halfway stage of Heat 2. And Richard Fox, what, tell me, is the difference between a competition like Paddles Up and slalom?
Well, in slalom we have 25 gates as a general rule, some downstream, some upstream. But everything is 2 single poles to make up the gate. Whereas in Paddles Up, as we've seen, we've got a number of different kinds of obstacles, limbo gates, targets, a roll gate and so on. So a real mixture of skills that the paddler's got to perform. And sometimes this makes it quite unpredictable. I think generally slalom is far more predictable and something that the paddler's prepared for. And here we're in a situation where we don't really know what to expect and we have to improvise.
And could quite easily break up your rhythm a little bit, I suppose.
That's right, yes. I mean, taking a hoop and trying to hook it over something or passing a paddle through a hoop is something that really does break up your paddling rhythm. And it doesn't matter how good you are, you can end up losing a lot of time and making a mistake.
But how relevant are these obstacles and the skills required to get over them, around them or through them, to what you're actually doing in competition, in slalom competition?
Some of them that we perform in Paddles Up are quite relevant. We still use some single poles and double poles that we can relate to slalom competition. Rolling is something that we do in an emergency, if you like, in competition. So that's a relevant skill. The other things that, all something that's related to whitewater canoeing, general handling of the boat, being at ease, in control. And I think to sum it up, really, the Paddles Up, the skills required for Paddles Up are much more wide-ranging, if you like, and creative, and it makes it a lot of fun.
But class, in the end, will tell.
I think so, and we'll see that the best slalom paddlers do tend to do quite well in Paddles Up, if not every year from time to time. But having said that, it's quite hard to predict any kind of outcome because the paddlers have had no practice.
Thank you, Richard. Let's now go back up to the start for the second half.
The New Zealander from Wellington, Paul Simmons, with the slowest time from the first part in the second heat. And I wonder what he's going to make of this, John.
Yeah, there's 2 limbo gates to start with, so he shouldn't have too much trouble. And he clips it with his paddle, but now he's got the second limbo to come down. Does that one clear? Now there's a target there, which he just clips very nicely. Has to move across the flowing water to the 2 targets. He's doing quite well and almost over there. He's going to have to work hard here, Richard.
Yes, he is. This course is far more demanding physically and technically than the first half of the heat, and you can see here very boily water, very turbulent, difficult to predict, and quite hard for the paddler to control his boat and keep it on the right line.
Yeah, he's coming down now. He's through that stopper very nicely, but turns too tight, which is what we were hoping would happen, and he gets caught up in the eddy, and now he comes down to a completely new idea in paddles up. It's a ball suspended off a piece of string, and he has to hit the target with it. Makes it look fairly simple, but he's lost so much time there that he's not going to be very pleased, and now he's going to come down to something that everyone hates to do. He's doing an Eskimo roll.
So much dependent on the good start, which he didn't get. He's managing to do quite well on the second part, and that was well done, facing the right way, so he's in good position for the final obstacle.
Yeah, he's got to do a full spin in his boat here, which makes it a bit awkward, and he's doing that now and then sprints to the finish.
But he's wasted a lot of time. He gets the paddle up and over, finishes in a time of 2 minutes 46.58 and 5 penalty points. Well, now, what can we expect from the 21-year-old Dubliner Ian Wylie, the Irish champion, heading off now down the course?
Yeah, coming down, he's looking determined. His limbo's no worry at all. I don't think he'll have any problem. He's done paddles up before. He knows the sort of obstacles, or most of them, and he then does that first target, powers over very high indeed. He's done this very well indeed, gets those without any effort now, and straight across, very fast indeed, this Richard.
Yes, he's got great control there. You can see him using the back end of the boat under the water, pivoting it round, driving round past the upstream gate and through the stopper. He didn't really get wet there. This is a very fast run.
This is certainly going to put pressure on those who follow, because he didn't have a very impressive first run, but he's certainly making up for it now.
Yeah, first half wasn't so good, but where they can get caught out here, Richard, is the roll, because you lose all sense, don't you, when you first come up?
Yes, it's the thing I think that everybody dreads. It's a forced roll, and really we don't like that. But that he really could have blown his chances there with a 5-second penalty added to 14 seconds down.
How unfortunate that was. He did all the difficult things so well. He's got the finish okay, 2 minutes 08.10 and those 5 penalty points. This is Laurent Brissot, the French champion, just awaiting now to start his second run, and he'll have some target to beat what we've seen from Wylie.
Yeah, Wylie went very fast. Unfortunately, had a bad first half, I suppose, but he pulled it back very well, didn't he, Richard, that second run?
Yes, he did, and I think Laurent's going to challenge that. He's being a bit more cautious here, but if he's clean, of course, he will be ahead of Wylie, who picked up a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, he's got caught in the slow water there, so this is going to make the breakout very difficult. So he's low on that breakout, so he's lower than Wylie was, but drives back up now, and when they come back into this really fast-flowing water, it really is fast. But Wylie was very fast here, but Brissot coming down very nicely indeed. Slightly different angle, got caught up in the eddy, the slack water again, but moving down now, trying to keep the boat moving, but he's losing valuable time.
So much slower, isn't he, than Wylie, who did that manoeuvre very quickly, and this is where really he's losing the fractions of seconds that are going to be so critical to him if he's going to have a chance.
Yeah, come on, he seems to be laid back, and he's really, he's clipped that gate. He's really got to get himself driving now. There's 2 places into the final, so even if he can't beat Wylie, he's got to keep the boat moving, Chris, and keep going.
Well, that he certainly hasn't been able to do, and even here now he's wasting those seconds. He doesn't seem to really be concerned about the time at all. He just wants to finish, which he has done. 2 minutes 15.50 and 5 penalty points. The current British champion, 33-year-old Martin Hedges, and the C1 paddlers are off again, John.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Martin's the C1 who wants to get in, I think, in this heat, because if he could join Gareth Marriott in the final, it really would be good for Canadian paddling. But he's down, he's done the first 2, does that no problem at all. Bush is very experienced on this water here, and going very well, Richard.
Yes, but remember, we still have Melvin Jones and Ian Raspin to come, and if he's going to beat either one of those 2, he's got to have a tremendous run, and he's losing a bit of time there in the boily water on the edge of the eddy line, and that may cost him.
Going very deep. The Canadian paddlers go very deep with their strokes, but Bush there moving his boat, keeping it moving, does that no problem at all now, and he moves on down. He's losing time, but he's putting a lot of work, a lot of effort. I know Martin was very keen to be in this year's Paddles Up and prove the C1 skills.
He's got a tremendous amount to beat, though. There's a lot of talent coming behind him, so he can't afford to waste any time now. He's coming in to those final critical obstacles, and he's got this turn to do now, which he does through and up to the finishing point, well over with the paddle, finishes 2:06.91 and no penalty points. We're down to the last two now, this most experienced of competitors, Melvyn Jones.
Yeah, Melvyn, in the first half we saw him get trapped up with the ring round his head and so on, and he's had a good think about it before he does his second one. He's really got to keep the power on. Not only does he want to qualify, oh, and he's clocked that limbo completely to hell, so he's picked up a 5. He's going to really have to move now.
Yes, he has, but he's got still quite a bit of time ahead of Martin, I think, so if he can put the bottom half of the course together, he could still qualify for the final.
Well, he certainly took the top part of the course apart, and they may well be having to rebuild that, but he's got a very, very hard act to follow after Hedges, who did so well, so he can't afford any more mistakes.
Yeah, he's looking very tense now as he's coming down now. Look at him, he's really apprehensive as he comes to this roll gate. He's got to get the roll gate clean, which he looks as though he's done, yes, and there he goes down to these last two gates. He's got to keep the boat moving all the time. We know he's got a 5-second penalty, so he's just got to keep moving to get into the final, let alone win the heat.
Well, let's see what he can do now. He's up to the finish. Oh, he's completely missed with the paddle. He went right underneath, so that's another 5 penalty points. 1 minute 58.15 and 10 penalty points. The last man off in Heat 2 is Ian Raspin, who must surely have a grand chance.
Well, yeah, I mean, Ian must feel very confident, but so did Melvyn, and Melvyn forgot to throw his paddles over, as we just saw. So it's coming down now. We know there's Martin's qualified, which is fantastic. Now let's see what Ian could do. He's clear up to now. He needs a clear run. He'll want to win the heat, but anything could happen here.
I think he's playing it fairly safely here. Hopefully he'll save his best performance for the final, assuming he qualifies. He's not really made any mistakes so far. If he keeps going like this, I think he's very safe.
Yeah, but he's going to come down. He's got to be careful not to be too casual about it, but he took that very nicely indeed. We saw nice back shot there with him cutting the eddy into the eddy really nicely. He's coming down now, concentrating, thinking the roll gate. He won't know what Jones has done, you see, so he's going to be under pressure, and he just won't know. Oh no, he's clipped that gate, so he's got a penalty. He's going to have to keep moving now.
But he is showing immense experience because he's taking it cautiously. He's not making the mistakes, and it's almost as if he is aware of what's gone ahead of him, and he's now coming up to the finish, up and over. That's a good time, 1 minute 57.01 and 5 penalty points, so he's into the final. So the final positions in Heat 2. The winner, Ian Raspin from Great Britain, 2 minutes 02.01, and he's joined in the final by Martin Hedges, Great Britain, 2 minutes 06.91. Melvyn Jones, 2 minutes 8.15. Ian Wiley from Ireland, 2 minutes 13.10. Laurent Brissot from France, 2 minutes 20.50. And Paul Simmons from New Zealand, 2 minutes 51.58.
So the end of Heat 2, and Richard Fox, we were talking earlier about the disruption of rhythm, and we saw quite a few instances of that in the second half.
Yes, especially with the target gate in the middle of the rapid there, because that's a place where the paddler really wants to keep the blade in the water and control his position, control the boat, but in fact he's got to reach up and hit the target, so that's quite difficult to recover from, especially with the double targets there. They have to then recover and go across the river. That's quite a test. And then hitting the target with the ball, again the paddler's got to let go of the paddle and pick up the ball, hit the target, pick up his paddle again, and that's quite difficult to do quickly and smoothly. And of course the roll gate, the infamous roll gate, something that breaks the rhythm of every paddler. Recovering from that is quite difficult. The water is very cold, and when that hits you across the forehead, you come up, you've still got part of the course to go. You've been going for perhaps nearly a minute, running out of breath. That's really the most disruptive thing, I think, anywhere in paddles up, the roll gate.
Richard, thank you very much. It all sounds very terrifying to me, but these are the problems that the ladies are going to have to face, John Gosling, in the next heat. How do you think they'll go?
It's a very, very tough field, as you say, and the ladies are more than capable of coping with this event. In the past, they've proven to be very, very good, and I don't see any change here. The strength of field is world class. We have the current world champion here, we have a former world team champion. So I think the ladies will cope and prove to be worthy of the course.
Well, one lady who won't be with us, unfortunately, this year, of course, is the defending champion Marie-Françoise Grange, who's expecting a baby. But you mentioned the strength of the field. Who would you pick out within that?
I would say that Myriam Jerusalemi, the world champion, must be on for a good event. But Maria Francis from Great Britain, she's just won the British Championships and she's on a high at the moment, and I'd put my money on Maria.
Gentlemen, thank you all very much indeed. Don't forget to join us then for the ladies' heat of Paddles Up. But for the moment, from us all here on the River Dee, goodbye. Welcome back to Llangollen, where it's Ladies' Day here on the River Dee. Now, we know that we will have a new ladies' champion because the reigning champion, Marie-Françoise Grange, is expecting a baby. We also know 5 of those competitors who have already made it through to the final. So, John Gosling, let's take a closer look at them.
Well, winner of the junior heat, Matty Stevens, the junior British slalom champion, and potential is unknown in that lad. He could be in the Olympics in 1992 if he got his act together, as we say. In Heat 1, we had Gareth Marriott, former junior world champion, paddling C1, kneeling in his boat, if you remember. The potential there, he could take the final if he paddles right. And second to him was Jimmy Jays, local lad, lives and works in Llangollen, and JJ, former British champion, so he could be something to do in the final. In Heat 2, well, we had Ian Raspin, runner-up last year to Richard Fox in Paddles Up. He's also runner-up to Richard Fox in the British Slalom Championship. So Raspin probably is the winner, I would say, in the final, but who knows? And second to him, Martin Hedges, British C1 champion for so many years, and one hell of a character in the sport of slalom canoeing.
Now, what's the latest news on our missing Russians? Are they coming?
They're definitely coming. They're definitely in the country, and we're hoping they're going to arrive during this ladies' heat today.
Well, it is the ladies' day today. Now, what are you making of the field for this?
Well, it's a truly international field in the ladies, and the course has been very demanding. I mean, we've been seeing mistakes from the men. Melvin Jones on the final line, forgetting to throw his paddles over. So it shows how tiring it is and the demand that is required of these paddlers. So it could be an exciting, I think it will be an exciting event.
Well, we know that Marie-Françoise Grange is not going to win the title again. I won't put you on the spot and name names, but what do you fancy nation-wise?
Well, I should say France, but being I'm the British team manager, I'm going to go for Britain and say Britain's going to win.
Well, let's now go up to the start and get a rundown on the competitors for the ladies' heat.
Elisabeth Mickler from Augsburg, former world team champion and ranked 3rd in West Germany. Ishbel Grant from Cambia, 20 years of age, former European junior champion. Myriam Jerusalemi, French champion, world champion and World Cup winner. 21-year-old Joan Cothray from Manchester. She lives and works in Llangollen, a member of the GB Olympic squad. 20-year-old Maria Francis from Pontypridd, former junior European champion, now ranked 1 in Great Britain. First in the ladies' heat, Elisabeth Mickler from Augsburg in West Germany. Let's see what she can make of this very testing course. Well, to see us through it, I'm joined once again by John Gosling and Richard Fox.
Yeah, she had a big grin as she came off that seesaw slide, and good attempt there, but failed to get the bell. And I think the girl that's going to probably win this will be the one who gets the bell first time round. Don't you agree, Richard?
Yes, I think so, and she's picked up a 5 there, which is going to make it difficult. I was just going to say that the winning time for the ladies, I would think, will be about 1 minute and 10 seconds. That's a good time to aim for, but she's going to have a job to make up for a 5-second penalty.
Yeah,
in fact,
right.
10.
Yeah, 2 5s there, 5 and a 5, but she's picked up the hoop okay, and she's going across very well indeed, and she's going to deposit it there, so she's done very well now, and she moves down towards the tyre. She'll be driving across. The white water won't bother Elizabeth at all. She lives in Augsburg by the side of the artificial course and trains there all the time. So now she's coming back. She's going to drive across this stopper wave here and hit that moving target as such and head on down to the finish, Chris.
We can see the immense power, though, that she goes under, and can she get round? Well, she's done very well indeed to right herself, but that was a nasty turn for her. She's come through the finishing post in a time of 1 minute 09.73, but a total of 15 penalty points. Another product of the Stafford-on-Stone Canoeing Club, Ishbel Grant, 20 years of age. She began canoeing as an 11-year-old, former European junior champion, very promising.
Yeah, she's moving now. She's in our Olympic squad and really powering down towards this bell, and see if she can get the back of the boat down. She's oh, so close, but moves on down, doesn't want to waste any time at all, and she's driving across this zigzag section here now, keeping the boat moving, doing very well indeed, but there's a lot more to come than this zigzag. She's got to go down to this tricky whitewater section down here.
Yes, she's only got the 5-second penalties, and she's attacking the course, which is good. She really needs to do that because there are some good competitors yet to come. She's got the hoop off well. She's going into a back ferry glide here. This is really quite tiring. She's using different set of muscles to the muscles in forward paddling. Decides to spin round and paddle forwards and come to a forward ferry glide to get across to the hook.
Well, it's going to be very interesting. She's going to hook herself up to that because she put the ring round her body, but she's lost 5 there because she just eventually had to throw it and try and do the hoopla and missed, and now it goes across to the tire. And she hasn't got the paddle through the tire. It's come back the other way, and she's beginning to lose the place.
Yeah, she's lost all of it here now. I mean, you've got to remember, Chris, that these girls, well, no competitor is allowed to practice the course, so now she's got to turn and drive up. This won't put her off, and really and truthfully, she's not doing that bad if you compare her with the 1:24.73. So now she's got to drive across to the target, and look at the power being put on there now. She comes across, hits the target, and heads down towards the finish.
Well, what a brave recovery this is by Ishbel Grant. A good finish after a disappointing midsection. She finishes in 1:36.45 with 10 penalty points. 21 years of age, Joan Cothray, who lives and works here in Llangollen. She'll know this part of the river pretty well.
Yeah, she's very confident indeed. She does know it so well indeed. She's the fiancée of Jimmy Jays, who was in the men's heats, and she failed there and seemed to be totally confused. Occasionally these paddlers approach these manoeuvres, Richard, and just seem to lose themselves.
Yes, of course, it's worth pointing out that the kind of boat that Joan's paddling is the boat that many of the men paddle to, and she's perhaps a bit lighter, and there's quite a lot of volume there for her to push under the water, so it is a difficult manoeuvre, the pivot turn.
There she takes the hoop off without any effort at all, and looks like no fear, but driving across this fast-flowing water now towards where she's got to deposit it. Does it very nicely indeed now as she moves down to the tyre.
And making very good time, I may say. Another member of the Great Britain Olympic squad. Through the tyre she goes, and oh, she can right herself. She's still got plenty of time. This is an excellent time by Joan Cothray. She's doing very well indeed. If she can just hold her nerve, she's got the... Well, she's disappeared, but she's managed to get the target. She's come up as her lungs filled with water, but what a brave finish and what a good time. 1 minute 07.64 and 5 penalty points. That's the French champion Myriam Jahroussalmi, and what a magnificent season she's been having. The world champion and World Cup winner.
Yeah, she's had a great year, and coming over now, we're really pleased to have her here. She's been suffering very badly with a heavy cold, but she agreed to paddle, and she wants to win this competition. She comes out, oh, she's missed the bell there, but that won't put her off because she's seen all the other girls miss the bell.
Well, I know that she and Richard Fox are more than just good friends, so Richard, I'm wanting an impartial assessment of her form at the moment.
What more can I say? She's coming down here to the hoop. This could be the real crunch move because it's new for Myriam and new for all the other girls too, and she's really got into terrible trouble there. I think that just shows it's been a long, hard season for her.
Yeah, she wisely though shows experience. She misses it. She knows she's got 10-second penalties, but she moves on down now, goes through the tube. She's experienced some of these other moves before, so she'll keep working hard now. She drives up to this gate to hit this target there, and oh, she's over, Chris. She could be in trouble here.
Taking it very cannily, and a very, very difficult to finish for Myriam Jahroussalmi. She's hit all sorts of trouble. Finishes in a time of 1 minute .92 and a total of 15 penalty points. The new British champion, Maria Francis, 20 years of age and only in her 4th year as a paddler. It really is some going, John.
Oh yeah, she's tremendous. She's had probably a mega season for her. She can't believe what she's achieved this season. And now she comes round and hits the bell, and the First Lady to do it. I mean, tremendous there now. She moves across. She must be so confident now, Richard.
Oh, I think so, yes. She's the first girl to hit the bell. She's paddling very well. Nice smooth stroke, good technique. And I think she's going to have a very quick time.
Well, I may say she was inspired to take up canoeing by watching Paddles Up in 1984, so that says quite a lot for the programme, and this run says a great deal for Maria Francis, because she's doing everything the right way at the moment, and if she can just rehook that, which she has in the most novel fashion in her teeth, and this is really an excellent run.
Yeah, she's moving down now to the eddy, the slack water there, to pass her paddles through the tie, and I just hope she can keep going. I mean, she's done very well there now. She's got to drive into this stopper wave and hit that target, and she's looking very aggressive as she comes down.
Well, she's done it now. Is she going to get herself righted and through the finish? It's a marvellous time. She's finished in 1 minute 07.18 and no penalty points, so she's in the lead. So the halfway positions. Maria Francis from Great Britain is in the lead, 1:07.18. Joan Cothray second, 1:12.64. Miriam Jerusalmi of France, 1:15.92. Elizabeth Mickler from West Germany, 1:24.73. And Ishbel Grant, 1:46.45.
Richard Fox, we've seen the ladies through the first section of obstacles. What particular difficulties do they face?
Well, I think for the ladies, the course is the same, obviously, as it is for us. We compete on equal terms. Time down the course is what we're looking for. And then, of course, in the final, we've got men and women competing together. I think that's one of the great things about Paddles Up, because normally we're in separate categories, so it's quite nice to have a good party together.
Next section coming up. What do you make of the obstacles for that?
We've got some interesting obstacles on here. The limbos are always quite interesting. I think on this particular course, the targets are going to cause quite a lot of problems. There's a new target with a ball. You've got to throw the ball and hit the target. That's going to be quite interesting. It's new for everybody. And of course, the roll gate. That's really something that every competitor dreads, because they've got to force themselves into the Eskimo roll, and normally we pride ourselves in staying upright.
Certainly caused the men trouble.
Well, yes, we saw a few different techniques there, a few people hanging around a bit under the water. We'll see how the women get on.
Which one of the women has impressed you?
Well, I think they all impressed me, I have to say that. I think Maria had a very good performance in the first half there. She's leading the field, obviously. You know, we say this so many times, anything can happen in Paddles Up, and I wouldn't rule any one of the girls out of it.
Richard, many thanks. That's given us plenty of choice. Let's now go up to the start for the second half.
Ishbel Grant, the 20-year-old from the Lake District, with the slowest time after the first part of the ladies' heat, and off she goes.
Yeah, she's got these 2 limbo gates to start with, and then 2 sets of targets. She makes no problem with the first limbo. Coming down to the second a bit lower, no problem. And then, and she misses that top target. That's very hard. We've seen in the other heats there's been problems there. Comes across and makes no difficulty at all with that one. But she's got to drive across this single pole, which can be crucial, can't it, Richard?
Yes, it can, and you can see here she's having some trouble. This course is far more demanding, both technically and physically, than the first half. And we can see there it's caused a few problems for Ishbel. This section here now through the stopper, quite powerful, very turbulent, difficult to control the line of the boat.
Yeah, she came at it quite well, really. She didn't quite have the right line. Now she comes down to this one where the ball's there suspended on string, and she has to hit the target with it. Does it very nicely, but she's lost the movement of the boat, Chris, so now she's got to keep it going. She's having to work very hard, and then she comes down now to the roll gate, which anything can happen.
She must also be feeling the strain from the first part of the course. The limbs tiring a lot, but she's got over and round and the right way, and that was very good indeed.
That was a smooth roll. She got back into the fast water. Let's see if she can put the last couple of gates together well, and she could still be in with a chance.
Yes, it's been a very impressive finishing burst that she's put in. She's done that well. Now get it up and over, Ishbel. Oh yes, she's done it. 3 minutes 06.34 and just 5 penalty points. Elizabeth Mickler from West Germany, not really recovered top form after a car accident a couple of years ago, but John, a very fierce competitor.
Oh yes, very, very capable of doing something here. She loves the bigger water. And as Richard said, this is a much more technical course, and I think it will suit Elizabeth as she comes down and does that very nicely indeed. She's got to get a boat now across, so she's going to have to work quite hard. I think she'll be low in this breakout, yeah, but she's going to have to now power up indeed, isn't she, Richard?
Yeah, she lost quite a bit of time there. She was too straight as she came to the first target, so she went straight downstream instead of across the river. Let's see if she can pull this back with a quick upstream gate. That was good to see how she whipped her body around the pole. Very fast indeed.
She repaired the damage that was done earlier on very well indeed, and she's now on course.
Yeah, oh, tremendous there. I mean, I don't think we've seen anyone do this better than the Elizabeth approaching, and now she's just lost it slightly, probably too good, but now she's moving down. She's determined. She's really trying hard to get into the final here, powering down the course.
But she has 17 seconds to make up on Maria Francis from the first half of the heat. Let's see if she can do that here.
Right, does the roll. Oh, she's come up bad out of that roll. She's totally disorientated. You see, the cold water gets to the temperature into the head, and then they're in trouble, Chris. But oh, and she clips the gate. I'm sure it's the roll that's affected her.
Well, it's your point. She was very disorientated and also very tired now as she comes to the closing stages. Does she have the energy to get the paddle up and over? She does. Finishes 2 minutes 46.97 and 5 penalty points. Now, what can this young lady do? The reigning world champion, Myriam Gerusalmi from France.
Yeah, she's seems to be setting off fairly cautiously. She wants to try. She knows if she does a clear run, she'll be okay. She's got a very good chance. She goes under the first one. She's got this cold, which is not helping her at all. But the effort there. She sort of put a paddle up and then failed at the last minute. So she's now into the eddy, not too badly. Coming upstream, having to work quite hard to get to these two targets. Does both of the targets and cuts across, and we should hopefully see a very nice high breakout here. Oh, and she's over.
You can see she got caught there on the eddy line. It's very powerful, very turbulent water, and difficult to handle really. In fact, it's probably the worst place to roll.
So you just have to go a little bit off the line, John, and you're in trouble.
Well, that's right. This is very, as Richard says, the technicalities on this water are so much greater than the first half of the course. She's coming down there. She's really disorientated. We saw Elizabeth earlier when she did the roll. She was in trouble, and now she's really having problems in this eddy. She's getting pushed around by the water. She's really got to get there. She's done it, and all credit to her now. She's going off. She's working her way downstream. She's got another roll to come, and that'll be in the back of her mind now. And she's suffering with this cold. She's probably struggling to breathe now.
Well, it's a very brave performance. She must be extremely discouraged with what's gone on before, and she's already taken a few duckings. There's another one, a scheduled one this time, and she's come out of that rather well.
Yeah, she's moving away nicely now. She's coming down to the slalom gate section, so she's just got to do the turn, and she'll push it through, and hopefully she's got the energy then to just throw the paddle over the finish, and I think she'll be quite happy.
She'll be happy with that, but not with the time. 2 minutes 53.04 and 10 penalty points. Here's someone who knows this stretch of water pretty well, Joan Cothray, who lives and works in Llangollen.
Yeah, Joan, she's here representing Wales, and she'll be really trying to get into the final. She's got to beat 2:51.97, which is Elizabeth Mittler's time, and she's done that first limbo nicely. She seems slightly offline there, but done it well on turns. She could be in trouble here, Richard, to get across.
No, well, yes, she could be, but she's done better so far than Myriam there, and I think if she can hold it all together down towards the bottom, she could qualify. Of course, she won't know what's gone on before her, but as I'm saying that, she's getting caught again in the same place as Myriam, the very boiling water on the edge of the eddy.
But in fact, the misfortunes that befell Myriam Gerusalmi have opened up this heat very much now.
Well, that's right, yeah. I mean, Joe must have been thinking that one of the foreign girls would be in there, the German or the French girl, but she's making mistakes now, and this is where Myriam had problem. She's got stuck in that slack water in the eddy, and she's hit the ball now, but she's out of the flow, which makes it a lot harder to come back over.
Of course, the thing about paddles up is it's very hard to keep a good rhythm all the way down the course. So many different kinds of obstacles that just break up that rhythm, and the roll gate, of course, is one of those. She's hit that going through, but a good roll. She's kept in the fast water, and now she comes down to the last two gates.
Well, the time's not bad, but she can't afford any slip-ups here. She's got to do the 360-degree turn, which she manages, comes through the final gate. All right, now, get up and over. She does, finishes 2 minutes 36.19 and just 5 penalty points. A young lady with the final very firmly in her sights, 20-year-old Maria Francis, the British champion.
Yeah, Maria, she finished the first half, and she said to me, "Is that all I have to do?" And I said, "No, you've got to do it again on a different course." And she was really nervous before she got on, but she's come down. She's just got to keep the boat moving, got to keep herself smooth, cool in her head, but she's doing very well at the moment. Oh, and then she's gone completely wrong there, Richard.
You can see again, yes, she got caught by the boiling water. It's really turbulent there because the river narrows down into 3 or 4 meter gap, and that's why it throws the boat around so much.
Yeah, it was an unconventional approach, but she's lost a tremendous amount of time out of that, hasn't she?
Yeah, she has. She's going to miss that completely. She could have completely blown her chances here, Chris.
Well, missing that gate is immediately 50 seconds of a penalty, so really I don't know that there's very much chance for her now. She's certainly got to go hell for leather and try and do everything without fault.
Certainly the times she's got to beat is not 2:41 but 2:51, and I don't think she could do. She looks really angry with herself. Look at her,
Well, she can't beat it now. She's gone, the time's gone, and with that penalty and all the penalties ahead of her, and she's incurred another 5 penalties there, so this is a disastrous run for Maria, who looked certain to reach the final.
She looks very upset now, and I feel very upset for her. She was feeling very confident before the whole competition started. She's turning now. She must be knowing in her own mind she's going towards the finish line.
Yes, she's slowed up now. She knows it's all over. That's her time, 2 minutes 28.64, but she's got 55 penalty points, so she's out. So the final surprising positions to the ladies' heat. The winner, Joan Cothray from Wales, 2 minutes 41.19, and also through to the final, Elizabeth Mickler from West Germany, 2 minutes 51.97. Miriam Jarousalmi of France, 3 minutes 03.04. Ishbel Grant to Great Britain, 3 minutes 11.34. And poor Maria Francis, 3 minutes 23.64.
Well, no doubt at all about our 2 qualifiers from the ladies' heat. And John Gosling, a little bit of a surprise that, wasn't it?
Well, she's from Britain, so I was right, really, wasn't I?
Now, tell us a little bit about the advantages and disadvantages that the ladies face on a run like this.
Well, they obviously don't have the brute force and strength that the men have, but the skill and the finesse that they have when they're paddling the course, and also the experience and the watermanship. You're talking here world-class field of these ladies, and they showed it here today that they really do have watermanship.
I suppose ladies' caution sometimes is no bad thing.
Not with the paddles up course, because there are so many little things there like limbo gates and so on that can cause a lot of trouble, and they ease off, but they also have the aggression to put the power on when they need to get into the eddies or to go through the stopper waves.
Well, we saw a fine mixture of caution and power and aggression from Joan Cothray. How impressed were you by her?
It's the ultimate run, really, to get it right on the day, and Joan got it right on the day. We saw in the men's heats people like Melvin Jones, very experienced international paddler, and he made a mistake and it cost him a place in the final. Joan got it right on the day and performed amazingly well.
Well, with me is the lady in question. Joan, many congratulations. It's your first paddles up, I think, isn't it?
Yes, it is. For the last 2 years I've spent on the bank watching the paddlers compete in paddles up. So to have the opportunity to paddle this year is just very exciting.
And was it as difficult as it looks from the bank?
Worse.
What gave you particular shivers?
I think on the first obstacle was the bell on the first heat. I just wasn't able to hit that, which made me quite nervous for the whole of the event after that. But also the hoop is a new obstacle, and it's very difficult to hold in your hand and have control of the boat at the same time.
I'll tell you what terrifies me. It's the roll gate and the limbo. Now, how did you deal with those?
Well, usually you spend most of your time trying to stay upright, so to actually do a deliberate roll in the middle of winter isn't very pleasant, but I managed it.
Now, what about the final? How are you looking forward to that?
Oh, I'm just looking to have a good run at a steady pace and have some fun, and if I win, then I'll be very pleased.
Joan, the very best of luck to you in the final. So now we know the 7 finalists. It'll be run over 2 new courses. Join us again for the grand final. But for now, from the River Dee, goodbye.
I also realized that I derive a similar pleasure and real satisfaction from doing this. And I would miss all of you. So I decided to withdraw my resignation. Let's get back to the reason we're all here, okay? Last Friday, I think we left off, we were about to grapple with William Howard Taft. Okay, Taft. Someone once said he was a fat guy.
Solitaire? Hey, let's play a man's game.
As I recall, you liked poker.
Right. Bogey and Houston got a hot game going on upstairs later, but I can play you a few hands. Deal. You remember how to deal, don't you? 5 cards off the top.
Yeah, I remember. 5 cards.
Okay, deal.
Deck sounds a little light. Huh? Excuse me.
Kid, you're learning.
Charlie will be heading the class again on Monday afternoon at 3:05 here on One.
Hello. Kilroy returns next week, so why don't you join me for the talk show where you do the talking. If it's in the news or on your mind, then you can be sure that we'll be tackling it here on Kilroy every weekday morning at 9:20 on BBC One. See you then.
In half an hour after the news, more Western adventure out at the High Chaparral. First on BBC One, the grand final of Paddles Up.
Welcome to the grand final of Paddles Up here on the River Dee at Llangollen, and what a marvellous prospect it is, because in addition to the 7 paddlers who have won through via the heats, we're breaking new ground this year by including 2 Russian canoeists. They've had their problems getting here, they missed the heats, but the paddlers were adamant that they took part, and we're looking forward to seeing them in competition against some of the world's best. So let's now go up to the start and get a rundown on the finalists. Norwich Union Paddles Up.
Elizabeth Mickler from Augsburg, former world team champion and ranked 3rd in West Germany. 21-year-old Joan Cothray from Manchester. She lives and works in Llangollen, a member of the GB Olympic squad. Leicester's Matt Stevens, 17 years of age, a member of the Great Britain junior team since 1985, silver medalist in the junior pre-world team event. Arvis Ruevi, aged 20 years. He's a soldier in the Russian army, ranked 4th in the Soviet Union. Jimmy Jays from Llangollen, the former British champion and his 5th Paddles Up. 33-year-old Martin Hedges from Windsor, former Europa Cup champion and the British national champion 13 times. Stanislavs Bazkand, the 28-year-old engineer from Latvia, Russian champion in 1988 in his 13th year in the sport. Gareth Marriott, the 19-year-old from Nottingham Kayak Club, ranked 3rd in Great Britain, a former world junior champion. Ian Raspin, former world youth champion, ranked 2nd in Britain and in magnificent form, finishing 2nd in the 12-nation international in Czechoslovakia. On the launch pad, waiting to start the first section of the Paddles Up final, is the West German Lisa Mickler. It's a short course, John Gosling, but a very hazardous one.
Yeah, we've moved from the seesaw start to the straight slide start, Chris, and now she's got this hard paddling upstream across the stopper wave there, and now she's down into 2 limbos. But they've been lowered since the heat, so look at that now. It's amazing. The final's a really tight course.
I'm also joined by the reigning world champion Richard Fox. Richard, it strikes me this is very difficult technically.
Yes, it is. It's a hard section of water, very fast, very powerful, and really quite unpredictable. We'll just see how Lisa gets on here as she comes into the main rapid.
She's doing pretty well though, John, isn't she?
Yeah, she's done that gate now. Now there's a target to hit overhanging, and she's done that now. Oh, and she's ended up in the slack water in the eddy. She's wasting time now, Chris, as she powers down to the finish in the stopper finish.
It's a short drive to the finish into that stopper wave, and she's finished, and that's her time, 50.88 seconds, and no faults. Next on the ramp, Joan Cothray, 21 years of age from Manchester, surveying this rather daunting prospect. She may well have been surprised to be here, but she's certainly here on merit. She's been paddling very well, John.
Yeah, she shot down and seemed to stay river right there, but she's into that stopper wave. Pleased to be in this final, and she's out to win. I mean, her fiancé, Jimmy Jays, is in it as well. She almost goes over there as she goes through the first limbo to the second limbo. She's now into this section, which is the traditional star slalom gate, so this should help her. Puts a power stroke in on the left there now, just steadying up now as she comes down. She's really got to work now, Chris, to move back into that moving water and head on down to the finish.
But she's playing it very sensibly. She's very steady at the moment and doing nothing wrong at the moment, which is probably very important.
Yeah, and there she goes. She's over. She could be in trouble here. Oh, she's up and...
Absolutely typical, wasn't it? You say she's doing nothing wrong and she's completely lost the place. And she finishes in a time of 53.84 with 5 penalty points. 17-year-old Matt Stevens, the junior heat winner, on the ramp and away, and he's off and going hell for leather for this first obstacle. He's determined to be up there with the seniors, John.
Oh yeah, certainly is. I mean, he cut very closely there as well, did it nicely, keeping it cool. He's been pacing the course. These paddlers are not allowed to try this course out. So he's done the first limbo there, so they're only allowed to look at it. Oh, and he picks up a 10 there. He should have stuck to leaning backwards as he comes down now. We should see a good tight breakout here from Matty.
Yes, I wonder why he changed. He did so well in the first limbo, but he's steadied himself now, and he comes into this very rough water indeed and did well.
Yeah, he broke out above the target there, thinking about it. Oh, and he missed the target. He's wasting time going back for it, but probably quite sensibly. Yeah, there you go. He's saved that 5-second penalty as he goes down to
now into the final run, down to that stopper wave. He drives through and finishes in a time of 48.67 seconds, plus 5 penalty points. And an historic sight this, because for the first time in British water we're going to see a Russian competitor, and it's Arvis Ruevy. He's a C1 paddler, and Richard Fox, the fascinating thing will be to see the technique that they apply here.
Yes, you can see he's got a single paddle there as opposed to a double-bladed kayak paddle. He's kneeling in the boat and strapped in. A C1 is much more difficult to balance, but it does turn rather quicker. There he's picked up already 5 seconds of penalties, but I think as we see the later paddlers, especially Gareth Marriott and Martin Hedges, will see that the C1 paddlers can really challenge the kayaks.
Well, he's doing incredibly well, considering that he has never seen this course before. He's ranked 4th in Russia from Latvia. He's a soldier, so he's picked up 5 points there, but he spends most of his time on the river. He's also missed the target. Now, is he going to get all the way back? He's certainly losing a lot of time. He would have lost 5 penalty points. He's going to make the attempt to get back. Well done. And he's entering into the spirit of this in every possible way as he moves towards the finish. Well done, he's finished, and that's time for Ruevy of 57.17 seconds and 10 penalty points. And now in his 5th paddles up, it's the local man Jimmy Jays, heading for the first obstacle, and very, very determined indeed to uphold the K1s here.
Yeah, Jimmy showing his experience on the slide there, just angled the boat slightly and made it very simple for himself, but round that first obstacle towards the limbos really nicely indeed there as he moves now down to the second limbo.
Safely through the second and making his way into this turbulent water, and now moving out to the breakout and round.
Yeah, you can see he's not trying to paddle too hard. He's positioning his boat. He's moving across now. Very upset that he didn't win his heat. I was talking to him after that event, and he's here now. Target. Oh, and he made that mistake. Oh, brilliantly there. Correction, Chris.
Superb recovery. What strength that took, and technique to manage to right himself, and he's through the finish. That's a good time. 49.01 and no penalty points. Here we have the British champion Martin Hedges, 33 years of age, vastly experienced.
Yes, Martin is very experienced, been in the British team for a number of years, and you can see here also paddling a C1 boat, paddling on the right-hand side. Arvis was paddling on the left, but he's using right-hand strokes and there a cross bow stroke to keep himself on line.
He hasn't gone all that quickly though, Richard. He's lost a little bit of time in the early part.
A little bit, but he's still clean, although I'm not sure whether he clipped that or not, but as he comes into the main rapid here, I think we'll see that he's going to have to really get good control for the target. That's the most difficult part of the course. Really, the paddler wants to keep his blade in the water and not lift it out. You can see he's struggling there.
Well, he certainly is. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt on the limbo, and he did well to get back on the target because he looked as if he was completely out of control, but he's managed to regain his composure, and he finishes in a time of 51.13 and no penalty points. The second of the Russian competitors, Stanislavs Vazkans, who was the national champion in 1988, 28 years of age, and he's been going for 13 years. So again, John Gosling, be fascinating to see his technique.
Yeah, he did that very well indeed. I think, as Richard said with the C1 lad, they're very good paddlers, whitewater paddlers. And he just clipped that slightly inexperience of going under limbos, but we all go that way. Cleared the second one, which has been proving more difficult. Comes down to this slalom type section now, and powering his boat across and into the eddy. Very nice. And he just flipped that. What a shame there.
And now, Richard, we come really to the critical part of this course, don't we?
Yes, we do. And he's missed that gate. He's coming back upstream, wasting a bit of time, but you'll just see again how difficult this move is.
But and he got it, no problems at all. He's confounded all of us. He's made light of the most difficult things, had problems with the easier things, but he's come through well at the finish. 51.33. Well done, Stanislavs, and 10 penalty points. That is Gareth Marriott, who's already created his little niche of history on this programme by being the first winner of a heat in the C1 class. John, what's he going to do here?
Well, I've put some money on him to win the final, to be honest. Chris, he's so determined, and he's got the ability. He's one of the best C1 paddlers in the world. Ranked 6. And then he hits the first limbo. He's got to keep the course as clean as possible. That's much better on the second one as he comes down now. As I say, his world ranking's very high, and winning a heat was amazing.
Well, it's so tight now at the top of this final that really just one mistake can make all the difference, and he's managing to get through that now. Will he get the target? He's lost control completely and gone way down. He's missed the target. He's not surely going to come all the way back for that.
Well, he is. He's in the eddy, and I don't know whether he'll waste more time doing it, but the determination of him, look at him go, Richard.
Yes, you can see he's really a bit disappointed with that. He hammered the target, and now he comes down to the finish.
I think hammered is the word. He probably destroyed it, but he's finished in a time of 57.89 and 5 penalty points. Now then, if anyone has set his sights on the title this year, it's this man, Ian Raspin.
Yeah, he's come here, as I said earlier. I fancied Marriott, but Raspin has so much ability and so much skill. He's in our Olympic squad, and a lot of talent in him.
He's got a good chance here, I think, to open up a comfortable lead, assuming he doesn't hit any gates. And as I say that, I think he's just clipped the first limbo. But the time of 49.01, I think, is there for the beating.
Yeah, he's coming down now. He's got this breakout. He'll be very high. Mistakes have been made on these last few moves here, Chris, and he's got that right. He's turned into the eddy to try and come back into the water to get the target. See if he extends his paddle. He's got the target, so he's on for a good run.
Beautifully done, although he did clip the limbo, we discover. He's gone to the finish in an excellent time, 43.41 and 5 penalty points, and that's a very good time indeed. And the positions at the halfway stage in the final. The leader is Ian Raspin, 48.41 seconds. Jimmy Jay's second, 49.01. Lisa Mikla, 50.88. Martin Hedges, 51.13. Matt Stevens, 53.67. Joan Cothray, 58.84. Stanislavs Vazkans from Russia, 1 minute 01.33. Gareth Marriott, 1 minute 02.89. And Arvis Roeva, 1 minute 07.17. Waiting to start the second section of the final, the 20-year-old Russian Arvis Roeva. He had a disconcerting journey on the first part, and he stuck doggedly to the task, but this time, John Gosling, it's a very, very different course.
Yeah, this course has been designed by Alan Edge, and he's really put in some obstacles. It's amazing. Anything could happen. They come around that pole, and he's got a bell there, and he's already in trouble. He's supposed to ring that bell. He's got to work really hard now in this slack water to get up and ring this bell. You can hear the crowds on the side shouting him up. Hopefully he can understand it, but I'm sure he can. Now he has to ring this bell with any part of his body. Now he cuts back into the fast-flowing water and over to a target high up, and he's done that. That's okay, but he's over.
Well, we'll see what he does. He's been over for some time now, and he's gone past the second target. He doesn't seem to be able to right it as he lost it altogether. Now there's the other target that he's gone way beyond. Surely he's not going to try and come back for that.
Oh, he's in again in that stopper there. He's basically blown his chances here, Chris.
Well, it's a very poor run, I'm afraid, for Arvis Ruevi, and that's him out of the final. Well, the course proved too much for Arvis Ruevi, the Russian C1 paddler. What is Gareth Marriott going to make of it?
Well, I think Gareth's got enough experience to know that the competition's wide open. He's coming down now. He'll be powering across if he can into this area here. Beautifully done. Brings the bell there with his paddles, lets go of his paddles to do it. Now drives across, and he's got to be very cautious here with his target, which is missed completely and goes down now to the breakout where the ball is. He's done that, but he's in all sorts of trouble there, Richard.
Yes, you can see he's really been thrown around a bit by the water. By missing the target, he didn't actually lose that much time. He got the second set of targets. He's spun out there. He's losing a bit more time. Of course, he's having quite a lot of trouble here, combining carrying a hoop and paddling. Let's just see how he gets on with this section.
There are so many areas here on this run, John, where you can lose it, can't you?
Oh, there's so much on this course. It's amazing. He's coming to the roll gate now. So he's over the roll gate. It looks clear there, so he's doing quite well. And he's coming down to the pirouette, which he shouldn't have any trouble at all. Remember, in the heats, he cleared it easily. And he's gone too far past, so he won't waste time and goes to the finish.
He certainly got high enough, but he was too far past it. He's now powering his way up to the final. The paddle is up and over all right. That's the final time, 2 minutes 16.02, and there are 10 penalty points. The second of the Russian paddlers, Stanislav Bazkans. He'll be hoping to do a little bit better than his compatriot, John.
Yeah, he's quite a good paddler, this lad. I was quite impressed in watching him in the first half of the heat and the final, and he's doing quite nicely now. He's driving, he's got a lot of determination there. I'm quite impressed with him. What do you think?
Yeah, he's certainly attacking the course. He's got quite a bit to make up on Ian Raspin. I think, only we see here, he's having quite a hard job there. I don't think anyone's going to clear this course yet. If anybody does, it will be quite an achievement.
Well, he's already missed one target and he's come down way beyond the other, but he's coming back for that. He's given up the first target. That was impossible for him, but he's showing spirit there, coming back for that one.
Yeah, you must remember it's the first time they've done a paddles up competition, and a lot of the other boys you see here are all experienced, but he's gone now to the double target. He got at least one of them, and now I'd be interested to see how he copes with this ring, because it's something completely new. We introduced it for the heats, and it caused so many problems that we thought we'll put it into the final. Look, he's trying to sort himself out. He's got it now, and he's decided in his mouth and go for it. He's going for a backwards ferry glide of sorts, but I'll be interested to see if he makes this.
You can see just how boily that water is. It's throwing him around. He had difficulty in controlling the boat in the eddy, and again there you can just see how it's bubbling up around the boat. Very unpredictable, but he did well to get that on.
Yeah, coming down now to the thing all paddlers hate to do, which is a roll, and it's so cold, this water, and he goes into the Eskimo roll there, and a bit slow coming up, comes up on an old-fashioned Pilata there, Richard.
Yeah, he pushed the paddle away, gives him a bit more leverage, but of course it's not quite as quick as a conventional Eskimo roll.
One day you'll tell me what a Pilata is, but in the meantime, I may say Stanislav Bazkans has missed the ball on the first time. He's going back to try and get a second shot at it, but he's missed that again, and really with time ticking away, I think he would now be best just to cut his losses and go straight for the final line, which he does. The finishing line, he's off and away. Determination still, great spirit, up and over, yes, and that's the time, 3 minutes 01.77 seconds, and he has 10 penalty points. Next away is Joan Cothray, the first of the lady paddlers.
And Joan, really, she's got an opportunity here to go into the lead ahead of Gareth, because the two Latvians had quite a bit of trouble on the course. And now, as she comes down to the bell, we see her. Yes, she's got a good start to the course, John.
Yeah, she made that light work, really, and she's really high for the target. I think she's going to do that really well. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of support for Joan being a local girl. And she's now, she's in trouble now, but she's cutting backwards and forwards, trying to slow herself down to get a better position into this eddy with this ball. I think Richard could be well right here, Chris. She could go into the lead with this run.
Well, the remarkable thing is that she's showing enormous power. I mean, the power that must take just to control herself in that water, and she's doing very well indeed.
She certainly is. She hit both targets there. She's coming down to the rings now. She's got to pick the hoop up and get across. This is a very difficult manoeuvre because the water's bubbling and boiling around everywhere. She's got her head down, she's gritting her teeth, I'm sure. She's going for it. Remember, she's got another person she'd like to beat. Jimmy Jay's her fiance, so I'm sure she'd love to beat him in the final.
know what he would say about that. It does show, though, that it's not just a question of sheer brute strength. Technique comes into it, and she's showing fine technique, Richard.
Yes, she's doing very well, getting thrown around a little bit as she goes into the roll. She's laid back, she's come up there. That's a reverse screw roll, whereas Stanislav did a Polata roll where he pushed the blade out and used the full length of the paddle to do the roll.
Well, the ball has proved beyond all the competitors so far, and also to Joan, but she's going now for the finishing line, speeding away, and this is going to be very respectable indeed. It's over in 2 minutes 40.27 seconds and 5 penalty points. Next off is the winner of the junior heat, Matt Stevens, and he certainly hasn't disgraced the juniors. He's having a marvellous paddles up, 17 years of age.
Yeah, he's really keen. He was walking around looking at this course, and I'm sure he's very keen to get into the Olympic team. He's into our provisional squad at the moment, and he's got to move that a little bit higher, but incredible amount of potential, this lad.
Let's see if Matt's going to be the first one to clear the course. No, he isn't, and really that target's proving very difficult. It's right across the river, and just too much to get to for Matt.
Yeah, here he goes. He's got the double targets on the left, so there's 10 seconds. Oh, and he's missed them! And I think that's a serious mistake by Matt. He'll regret that when he thinks about this afterwards. He's picked up the rings. He's now got to get across, and he's dropped it, and he's in trouble here. He's really upset. He's given up there, Chris.
Well, that is a shame to see, because there was no need for him to give up. He still had the chance to finish the course, but he's obviously just given it up. And he went on to finish in a time of 2 minutes 04.84 and 25 penalty points. Now it's the turn of the C1 paddler, Martin Hedges.
Martin paddling on the right-hand side, and they're using a cross-draw stroke on the left to keep his line as he drives across the river, round the single pole and down to the bell.
The thing is here, Chris, that none of them know what's happened before them, so where Matty in the last run sort of gave up, if he'd have kept going, he could have gone into the lead. He's lying second place. At the moment, Martin coming down will be very determined and thinking, what am I doing here? He's lost that target slightly, but he's now in a funny position for this right-hand breakout that he's got to get into. Oh, and he's in all sorts of trouble there. He's working now to get out of the fast water into the eddy. He did very well there indeed.
Yes, obviously the bow of his boat got sucked under. It's a very low volume boat, the C1, and quite a wide area, so once the water gets on the deck, it pushes it under. Martin's having a fast run here, and I think he could well take the lead.
He's certainly having a very successful run with the targets and the various hazards, and although he's perhaps looking a little bit in trouble here, he's still well on target. And as you said, John, what they must never forget is the problems that the other paddlers have had, although he is having severe problems here.
Yeah, he's given up with that now, so he's taken the 5 on that. He realises his mistake. He should have just thrown it. He's done the roll, and now he's got to go down to this pirouette. We should see Martin hit this pirouette, the first person to do so. But here he goes. Oh, yes, and he's on his way to the finish.
Well, now this is going to be a very good and a very difficult time to beat, because he's picked up very few faults. He's making good time. He finishes. Up goes the paddle. That's the finishing time. 2 minutes 18.10 and 10 penalty points. Elizabeth Mikler, who's doing extremely well in competition with the men and seems certain to get the ladies' title, but she's certainly not out of it, even as far as the men are concerned, John.
Well, no, I mean, she didn't do so well in the heat. She came second in the heat, but she's certainly come back for this final. Look at that. Straight across, straight hit the bell, not wasting any time. Gareth Marriott leading at the moment did the same thing, and she's gone and she's completely missed that target. But she's gone straight for this downstream ball. I think that could be a little bit of showmanship in this. She might be playing a hunch, I think. But she's having trouble now, and this is where she's wasting time. She's got to hit that target.
She doesn't get bonus points for hitting it twice, though, and now let's see if she hits these targets. She still could be in there. No, she's got a 5. She's getting thrown around a little bit. As with a lot of the other competitors, this water is pushing them around, very powerful, very boily, and she's having a hard time.
Yeah, she was going there for a really fast run, and she started as if she looked really well. Now she's just started to lose. As Richard was saying earlier, they make a mistake and it just throws them out of sync. And now, oh, she's dropped it out of her mouth. She's going to be so angry when she gets to the bottom of this course. She could be throwing it. Remember, she's got to try and beat Joan for the ladies' trophy.
I think also sheer exhaustion must come into play here, doesn't it?
She's thrown away the ring there, thinking, what am I doing here? You know, oh, and she's hit that roll gate. She's really picking up penalties now.
What a shame. It all started so well for Lisa Mickler. Let's see what she can do. Perhaps get a few bonus points at the end, but she's not going to do that on the ball either. So she's making her way to the final run now with the final obstacle. That's up and over the top. 2 minutes 31 seconds, but she has 25 penalty points. We're down now to the last two, and how much this man would love to win it. Jimmy Jays in his 5th Paddles Up, never won it yet.
No, and it's interesting at the moment, it's C1's first and second, so there's only these two lads who can save the respectability of the men's kayaks as such. JJ coming down to the eddy. Oh, and he's over and he's up again. He's going to have to work hard now. He's rang the bell and he's cutting right the way across high. He really doesn't want to pick up penalties if he can help it, but he seems to be going fairly slow. He's okay on that target now. It doesn't seem to be flowing like Gareth Marriott, Richard.
No, it's very hard to find a rhythm on this kind of water, especially with obstacles like this. Of course, all the paddlers used to running through normal slalom gates. This is quite a challenge for them. But I think this is still between Jim Jays and Ian Raspin. If JJ can keep going like this, he's still there, and he'll set a hard target for Raspin.
Yeah, it's important that he gets these targets here now. And he seems to have done both of those. He hit both of them, but he's gone down the stopper backwards, which is causing him all sorts of problems. The stopper wave there turns back on itself, so he's now moving into the slack water at the side. He's got to pick the ring up, and I think you might find JJ going for a sprint towards it and then trying to throw it at it and accepting a 5 here, but perhaps I'm wrong. He's going fairly steady towards it.
Well, time is not now on his side, I would have thought. He's got to get across pretty sharpish.
It's all going to be on the pirouette gate here, do you think, Richard?
I think so, but time is running out for him. He's looking a bit tired. It's a very tough, very demanding course. Paddler's getting pushed around a lot, and I think you'll just see there that he hasn't really got what it takes now to go into the lead.
No, he's picked up the 5 penalties there. He's not going to make it. He makes his way to the finishing post. He'll get the paddle up and over. That's his finishing time, 2 minutes 30.46 with 5 penalty points. There's only one man now who can beat Gareth Marriott's time, and it's this man, Ian Raspin, who finished second to Richard Fox in 1988. Richard, can he go one better this year?
Well, I hope so, because I'd like to see a kayak win this, of course, and defend our reputation. I'm sure Ian's a bit nervous sitting there on the start line, but he's more than capable of getting the first clean run on this very difficult course.
Brilliant move there, to end up hitting that facing forward downstream and into this eddy. That was an outstanding move, don't you think, Richard? Absolutely brilliant.
Yes, you can see he's a class apart on this so far. Let's just see if he can keep going.
That usually is the kiss of death, but he's going all right still, going very well indeed, and he seems to be well in control now. He can perhaps just afford to be cautious as well now, because he can't afford too many mistakes. Oh, that really is class for Cheek.
That was tremendous. Oh, he's hit the roll gate, so he really doesn't want penalties here, but he's turned around and looked at it in disgust. The only person I've ever seen do that is Fox.
Yes, but he can still do it. If he can just hit this ball, he'll still be away, and there he goes. I'm sure he's going to do it.
Oh, that's marvellous. And here is the finishing burst, surely, of the Paddles Up champion. Let's see, he's going to the finish, up and over, yes. 1 minute 57.27, 5 penalties, and the new Paddles Up champion, Ian Raspin. So here are the final placings. The Paddles Up champion, Ian Raspin from Great Britain, 2 minutes 02.27. The runner-up, Gareth Marriott, also from Great Britain, 2 minutes 26.02. Martin Hedges, 2 minutes 28.10. Matt Stevens, 2 minutes 29.84. Jimmy Jays, 2 minutes 35.46. Joan Cothray, 2 minutes 45.27. Lisa Mickler, 2 minutes 56. Stanislavs Bazkans, 3 minutes 11.77, and Arvis Rueva, the second of the Russians, retired.
And so we near the end of another memorable series of Paddles Up. Memorable, not least, for the first ever appearance of the Russian paddlers. They didn't win, but it was great to see them. But we do have a worthy champion, Ian Raspin, who now receives his award on behalf of Norwich Union